Yeah, we got to.
Whenever you're ready, Peter.
Okay, I'm ready when you are. Press the button. Good evening, everyone. It is Monday, November 8th, 2021. This is the regular meeting of the Douglas Library Board of Trustees, and it is approximately 7:05 p.m. I'm Peter Cascarella, and I am calling the meeting to order. First thing on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would all join me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, public comment. Is the public out there? Is anyone got a comment they would like to share with us or make a statement? Okay, hearing none, then we will go on to the reports. And we will start first with the secretary's report and the approval of the minutes of the 10/18 meeting. I trust everyone has had an opportunity to review those minutes that were sent out to us. And I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
So move.
I'll
Second,
second it.
okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion concerning the minutes, changes, deletions, corrections? Hearing none. Kevin, would you please call a roll for the vote?
Gail Richmond,
Aye.
M.A. Foote,
Aye.
Beth Schmeisel. Beth, you're muted. Okay, I'll skip over her. Althea,
Aye.
Dale Bland.
Aye.
Okay, Beth, would you like to put a vote in? Can you get yourself off mute? Okay, I think we'll just have to put her as not voting.
And I will abstain because I was absent for the meeting.
I apologize, Peter. Yeah.
No, don't worry. Okay, financial report.
Yes, so you have with you in your packet the financial report.
Peter, I'm sorry. I'm off of mute. I'm experiencing phone issues, so I vote in favor.
Thank you, Beth.
All right, sorry.
No problem, happens. So we've got the budget report as of the 4th of November. Things are going along pretty smoothly. The main issue that we're dealing with right now is that we're a little bit over on our part-time payroll. And that's because we were training and we were running at a little bit, we had some extra hours that we were using during the summer months that we don't need now. So we've cut down the hours and we're in the process of getting that back where it's supposed to be. And I think it will be fine by the time we get through the holidays and the winter. So not too concerned about it. Everything else is, pretty much where we should be. We're either waiting for bills or we've received some that we're paying, so it looks like we're a little past. But are there any questions on the budget?
Okay, hearing no questions, Kevin, if you would please go on to the library director's report.
Of course. So on the Teen Advisor Group held a successful haunted library program. This was during the Harvest Moon Festival on October 23rd. Nearly 400 participants came through. It was a big success all around. We're really happy with it. And we've had some discussions already about next year, what we're going to try and do. A few computer issues are ongoing. One of the staff workstations seems to be having a power failure that happens on and off. It's been better the last week or two, so it's possible that it's fixed, but we don't know. Our public catalog computer is not recognizing its hard drive, and Novus is looking for a replacement for that. They think they'll have one to bring in on Thursday. So in the meantime, we do have the touchscreen OPACs for people to look up items, and then also the desk staff on the main floor. It's possible that we'll be receiving some donated desktop computers from Yukon. These would eventually replace the virtual desktop system that we've had for the public computers. That's been a fairly unreliable system and just is down almost as often as it's up, it seems like. So that would be a nice change if we're able to get them. The copier was out of commission for a couple of days this past month while we waited for a service tech to replace some parts, but public printing was still available from the children's floor printer, so it wasn't too much of an inconvenience. Biggest thing was the newsletter just went out a couple of days late because we couldn't get it printed, but the digital version was out there. The Hebron holiday celebration will take place on December 4th after the library closes. We had an initial meeting about that last Wednesday, and we're working on finalizing the schedule of events. The library right now, we're planning on making crafts in the community room and serving hot cocoa outside. And our meetings for that, if anybody would like to take part, are Tuesday afternoons from now till the event happens at 2 p.m. at the library. I attended a presentation for the launch of a new streaming video service for a product called Biblio Plus, which is like a Netflix type service for libraries. Seemed very promising. It's got a decent catalog, kind of similar to what Canopy offers. And the big difference is that it's unlimited simultaneous streaming. So you don't have to budget that sort of stuff for the month. It's not based off a number of plays. It's kind of a free for all, use what you want, which I think the public would love. The licensing fee is a bit higher than I was looking at. So I'm talking with them. I don't think it's something that'll end up happening, but if we were able to come down quite a bit, then I would certainly consider it. I think the public would like it. I attended the introductory. Oh, yes, go ahead, Emma.
Excuse me, Kevin, how do you compare the two, the price of Canopy versus this Biblio Plus
Well,
at this point?
Canopy is pay as you use. And so I budget about $500 a year for it.
Okay.
Which we don't even really necessarily go through. It's not a really heavily used service. So the quote was a little above 3,000, I think. So about 6 times the price. You know, if it was around 1,000, I'd consider it, I think, because I think it would be such an upgrade that people would really like it. But
Does it offer a lot more?
it's a similar catalog. So not
All
really
right,
a lot
so
more.
it's 6 or 7 times as much, but it doesn't, all right.
So
Yeah.
who pays? The library pays or the patron pays?
The library pays. So it'd be something we would subscribe to.
Okay.
Yeah, like if we were paid, well, not like Hoopla. If Hoopla, there weren't limits on Hoopla, it'd be kind of like that, but for movies. So it would be very nice, but I just don't think it's worth that much of a chunk of our materials budget at this moment. We'll see going forward. I hope they do well because it does seem like a good service. I attended the introductory M team meeting. So this group was formed by Sharon Gerard at the Senior Center to share resources and address issues regarding the senior population in town. And so Donna and Gail were also there for multidisciplinary team. That's what it stands for. We've moved our story time back upstairs to the program room. Parents and children alike are happy to be in a little cozier space in the community room. Attendance is steady, but right now the groups are small enough that they're okay in that smaller room. They have plenty of room to social distance. I'm working with Sherry, and if they do get larger groups, they're going to go down to the community room for that day. But when it's safe to be in the smaller space, they're okay. Children's book and puppet kits have been moved back into circulation. Those are being cleaned when they get back out of circulation. and they seem to be popular so far. Take and Make is still going strong. Children's department's making over 40 projects every week that are available to take from the lobby. These are the same project that they do during story time. They just make them available for parents that aren't at story time. They can actually view the story that was read that week online and then do the craft themselves as kind of a virtual storytime experience. And they all go. So it's been very good. That's something we're going to continue doing. Our public meeting rooms have been getting a lot more requests for use over the last 2 months. Some groups were meeting outside, and then now they're trying to move indoors for the colder months, and some school-related groups are starting back up. I also credit just having the application on the website. It's easier for people to find and fill out. So I'm happy to see those rooms in use. I like having those new groups come and using us. And I will save the building stuff for the building report. Any questions on what I just went over?
Kevin, I spent some time at Hebron Elementary School after Halloween,
Mhm.
and I heard a lot of kids talking about how much fun they had at the library.
Oh, that's great to hear.
So whatever you did, you must have done right, you and the staff. Nice job.
Yeah, well, all credit to the staff, particularly Jordan and Ashley wrangled our teams together, and they've done a really good job over the past few months.
Good. Okay, Friends of the Library. Is anyone out there representing the Friends for us this evening?
We don't have a representative, but they do have a book sale on the 20th.
Okay. Town Manager Representative, Donna?
Hello, good evening, everyone. Just a few things. And Kevin, if you're ever down the copier, you are more than welcome to use copiers at Town Hall. We, don't want to have to stop the presses for things if, there's definitely copiers that we can share.
Oh, thanks, Donna. It
So, wasn't
an emergency.
Anytime.
Yeah.
So we're working on CIP. The departments are due, the CIP budgets are due in to us next week. We're starting to gear up for budget. And we didn't get a definitive directive from the Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen from the budget meeting we held, but it was pretty much the request of those that voiced a goal was pretty much to look to come in at a zero budget increase. So that's what we're going to try to do, but we're encouraging our department heads to sharpen their pencils, be creative, but definitely let us know what you need to run your department. We're working on getting our newly elected officials or re-elected officials sworn in. We have a swearing in ceremony next Tuesday evening. We will be discussing meeting format and masking in our buildings, probably at the next selectmen's meeting. And I just want to elaborate a little bit on the holiday party planning. So we're going to be doing the holiday celebration, trying to get back to what we had a couple years ago where Santa Claus comes over, visits with the children, do a carol sing, the tree lighting, the Ram chorus or choir is going to be there with us. We're going to have the old town hall. I believe we're going to have the train exhibit at the old town hall. The snow folk are going to be unveiled again that weekend. So we're trying to make it a community-wide event. And like Kevin said, we'll be meeting on Tuesdays at 2 o'clock at the library up until that event. If anybody would like to join us, we could always use the help. And just want to follow up on the email for the board, for the members. It doesn't seem like everybody's using the email. And we really do, if we're issuing town email addresses, we really do need to get those activated and use those emails. And if anybody needs help with that, I would be happy to help you with it. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Gail, Board of Selectmen, you're up.
Yes, I have nothing to report at this time, Peter. Donna catches it all.
Okay. And Pat isn't with us tonight. She had a conflict. I have nothing to report, and she didn't forward anything to me to report, so I guess I'm off the hook too. Building updates, Kevin. Kevin,
Kevin, you're muted.
Thank you. The basement mold situation is being addressed. The chairs in the community room are being cleaned with an anti-mold agent. At this point, I think Willie's gotten through all of them. They're just sitting and drying out before they get put back in the closet. He's also cleaning that closet where they were stored and repainting it, and looking into maybe having a way to reduce the humidity in there as well. So that seems like it's mitigated. We're gonna get the carpet on the whole floor deep cleaned in January. There wasn't really, much evidence of anything growing on the carpets, so it's not like an immediate problem. But when they're coming in to do the rest of the building, we're gonna have them do that area a little bit extra. So we're looking at mid-January for a date for that.
Now, when you say carpet, are you referring to the flooring in the community room?
I'm referring to the carpet in on the rest of the basement floor.
Okay, everything but the community room floor. Okay.
Yes, yeah. Northeast Flooring is coming in to have a look at the luxury vinyl tile they installed in the kitchen, the same stuff that's on the community room floor. There's been a couple of gaps that have formed between a few of the tiles and a little bit of glue seepage. So they're going to take a look and hopefully take care of that for us. Regarding the roof, the building committee took a look at BPD's RFP work that they've been putting in, and they're satisfied with the changes. So they're passing it along to the town attorney. They wrote a letter that encouraged a speedy route to bidding. So that's moving its way along. Regarding the locker system, so the company has been working with Bibliomation to coordinate information transfer still. I actually just saw an email in my inbox an hour ago that the locker system they say they have it arrived and it's ready to ship. So I'm going to have to talk to them tomorrow about figuring out installation dates for that. So that's exciting. Windows, we're waiting on the windows to be installed. There was a paperwork error that meant that the check for Sanford and Holly was not sent out in September when we talked about it. So the check is on the way now, and they just won't start. They won't start creating the windows until they're paid. So it just means everything is getting pushed back another couple of weeks, which has been the story of this project. But hopefully we're near the end of it. Once you receive them, they'll get installed fairly quickly.
do we think they'll be installed during the first quarter of 22?
I think so.
Good. Okay,
I'm not
thank
putting
you.
money on it, but I do think so. That's the end of my building update. If anybody has any questions or wants clarification.
Okay, good. Poet laureate, who's got that one?
Well, I'll just mention that at the last meeting, we had decided that we would not do anything until January after the holidays. So I'm glad it's still on the agenda, but at this point, let's just say tabled until January.
Yeah, that's right, Mary Ann.
Good. Okay, ACLB, Gail.
Okay, one of my favorite topics, board operation. In board operations, what we're talking about is how a meeting should be conducted. And in going around the state, I find that some towns, the meetings are conducted properly, and in other towns, it does not happen. So when we start on that, we're looking at, is the meeting well planned? Well, you saw our agenda this evening. It looks like Kevin and Pat have our meeting well set out. And one thing that many towns don't do, which when Dawn and I do board basics, we say, any material that you need to make a decision when you're at that meeting should be given to you about a week in advance so that all members have a chance to read it. Kevin, you get that out to us all the time. The next one is up to each of you individually. Do you read the material after you get it? I don't know if that's always done. It should be, because you're exercising due diligence at a board meeting. So if you're going to vote on any decision, how small or large, you need to know what it is you're voting on. The other item on your list is orientation process. And that is something that this board needs to work on. How we get a new member up to date on what we've been doing. Have we given them past minutes so they know what we've been working on? Are they acquainted with the library, the staff? Any rules and regulations, such as policies that we have? That's one we need to work on. Board meetings begin and end on time. Well, we started within 3 minutes today, and most of the time I know that I'm getting out at the time that's on our agenda. So I think we do quite a good job. And our agenda is followed as, for example, look at tonight. I can't say the same about many other library boards. And does everybody serve on committees as needed? We don't have many committees, but are we doing that with the ones that we have? And I do believe that this board, everyone treats everyone with respect. So there really isn't anything very much to go over on board operations, except we need to continue with what we're doing and get that orientation process in place, which is something I know in the old board many years ago we did have. So that's it, Peter.
Okay, good report. Thank you. Any questions or comments for Gail?
The only thing I would mention, and it's taking us right off the agenda, would be the ACLB newsletter that Peter sent out. That's quite interesting too, regarding digital aspects and so on.
Yes, we're going to have a mini conference on digital inclusion, which with a few librarians from the state that have been trained on it. So that will be coming up, and you'll all be notified.
Great. Anything else for Gail? Okay, grant updates. Kevin?
No updates on the grants. Haven't heard back regarding the roofing one, and everything else we're, still working on.
Okay, CIPA compliance.
The public hearing has been scheduled for December. So there's a copy of the notice in your packet, but it's been posted. It's been posted on the website, and I've sent it to the paper for notification. So we're all set for next month for that to happen.
Good. Questions for Kevin? Okay, fiscal year 22-23 expense budget, please. Under new
Okay.
business.
Let me share my screen again. Let's get down to the budget. So what you have tonight in your packet is the expense budget that we spoke about last month, and then a couple of proposals, or that potentially could be added into it. So as it is in the page that you're looking at, this is mostly a continuation budget. There's a handful of things that I don't have quotes for, so I was just kind of putting a 4% inflation increase on those for now, since that's what it was roughly last year. But I'm going to try and get more specific with those. So, you know, for the most part, it's pretty self-explanatory. Under the part-time payroll, it's a little bit of a larger increase there, just because we still have to make sure that we would have all of our staff meet the minimum wage requirements, which go up to $14 an hour in July next year, and then they go up to $15 an hour the following year in June. So we need to make sure that we can handle both of those changes if we were to do that. So that's that. Scrolling down a little bit further, well, does anybody have any questions on this before we look at the scenarios?
No.
My general question would be, with Donna saying that everyone is encouraging a 0% increase, and we have lots of 4% for inflation, and inflation is definitely a big consideration. Are we being reasonable? And I'm talking both the town and the library, or what do we think?
Donna's got her
Can
hand
I
up.
just want to clarify, when we say 0% increase, it's a 0 tax increase, not necessarily a 0 budget increase. So there is a difference there.
Oh, yes, that word makes
okay.
a big difference.
So a 0 tax increase. But we are, you know, we do understand that some items go up. We have no control over certain items, but we're not looking to just do like an across the board, you know, like here, Kevin has a 4% for inflation increase in some of the lines, but he's going to work to pin those numbers down, where some things may go up, some things may go down, but we need to be realistic when we budget.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the proposals. So the first one here is the proposal to increase the LTA salary. So I took a look at the Connecticut Library Association did a survey of all the libraries in the state over the last year for what they're paying LTA 1s, LTA 2s, LTA 3s, and their MLS librarians. They broke it down by statewide and then also by region-wide. So we're in Region 3, which is kind of the quiet corner of the state, those towns up there. So looking at all that, I came up with a rate of $18 an hour for LTA 1s and $19.50 for LTA 2s, which would put them $3 and $4.50 above minimum wage, which is my thinking. I felt that's fair, but the budgetary impact of that would be about $31,000 if we were to raise all of the part-timers up to those numbers. And yep, I know, you know, these were just things that we were talking about, and based off of I had some conversations with Donna and Andy regarding this, and they're working with me, you know, very well. They want to make sure that everybody is appropriately compensated, but this may be asking for too big of a jump in a single year. But it's, you know, it's kind of where we are now, and certainly there's some argument that a suggested rate, or where we should eventually be looking for, is different than those numbers. That's just what I came up with. Any questions on this one?
Do you hear from your LTAs that they're dissatisfied?
I'm hiring more often than I should be. What happens a lot of times with the LTAs is they, if they're motivated and they're looking to like do things in the library field, they use us to get a foot in the door. And then they get about 8 months experience, and then they move on to some place that pays them a lot better. Which I can't blame them for doing that, but that turnover takes a lot of my time. It takes a lot of Claire and Sherry's time in terms of getting everybody up to speed. And it's difficult to be telling people things over and over again. So I haven't gotten a lot of nobody's directly told me that, but I don't think that that's something they would necessarily tell me either. We
Two
have
things, Kev-
oh, go ahead, Althea, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, excuse me. Two things. One, do you have exit interviews with them? And then, and I think you're shaking your head, yes.
Yeah, I am, yes.
So maybe you can, if you don't, maybe you can specifically ask him that question. And number two, do you know what the libraries around us pay them?
I pulled that information last year. I don't have it right now completely up to date. And in lieu of just getting the surrounding towns, I used the statewide one because I felt it was a little more thorough. But yeah, I do exit interviews with staff in general, and it is something that I've heard a couple of times. Through them or
As I recall,
leaving
we
because
were,
I got a higher paying job is the reason, and
Yeah.
kind of the only reason. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
as I recall from last year, weren't we not just Region 3 being on the low side, but weren't we also specifically on the low side?
We're on the low side, but we're not, unheard of. There are certainly other towns that function around minimum wage, and right now we're above minimum wage. We had a nice little bump a few years ago that now minimum wage has kind of caught up with us. But there are other libraries that hire at the same rate, but I would say we're on the lower end of what I generally see when people are hiring.
I'd just add to what Kevin was saying. We definitely have been taking some steps to try to bring them up over the last few years, and we're going to attempt to do something again this coming year. We're not going to get to where Kevin would like to be. We have to look at the salaries and the hourly rates of all town employees, and we have some areas that we know we need to make adjustments in. So it isn't as simple as just looking at one department, and we have adjustments in other part-time staff that definitely also need to be done. We've had trouble finding senior van drivers with the rate of pay.
Donna, excuse me, I need to leave the meeting for a few minutes. Mary Ann's going to take over as the next officer. I should be back in about 5 or 10 minutes, and I do apologize for cutting you off.
It's okay.
Got it. Thanks, Peter.
So I'll just
continue,
summarize.
Donna.
So we are, trying to make adjustments that, according to the market and the demands, but we can't do it all at once. We definitely value our employees and the contributions that they make to the town, and we are going to do whatever we can do within our budget constraints to make some adjustments this year. Thank
Question, do all of our part-timers fall in, and I don't mean library, I mean town employees, do they all fall under the same bracket, or are there other various schedules?
They're not all on the same schedule. Just I'll use the senior van drivers for an example. We're having trouble finding new van drivers. We pay them, we start them at $14 or $15 an hour. So that is, we know that's something that we need to do something about. And then the other large group of part-time employees are the prep workers, the before and after school people that work in parks and recreation and during summer camps. So I would say they are probably in about the same range, probably a little bit lower than the part-time employee, library employees. So they're all on their own.
And
Each
Public Works is mostly full-time?
Public Works are all full-time.
Okay.
There's maybe one part-timer for weekends, but the rest of them are full-time.
Okay, as long as we can keep working on that. Are there any other comments? Now, how about, that was the general fund. How about the CIP? Donna, is there any more information on that?
We voted the CIP last month, so there's nothing
well,
that's
okay.
changed since then.
That's where it was last time.
Yeah, so it's the same spot, yeah. So the other proposal that I was asked to prepare was opening the library for, excuse me, for 4 hours on Sunday afternoons. So I kind of used, I had an existing spreadsheet from last year. So made a couple of adjustments. So there's two scenarios here. Scenario one, it's just a cost of living increase. That would mean foregoing the staff increases, opening Sundays for the extra staff time at the current rate, essentially. And then scenario two would be if we raise to the previous scenarios rates. So that would be an extra few $1,000s in staff pay. So under building costs, I added a sixth of the proposed budget for water, another 1/12 of the proposed budget for natural gas, just assuming the building is going to be open a little bit longer. Another 1 day a week for janitorial, which is kind of the big bite there. So all in all, I thought it would cost, about $10,000 in building costs. And then depending on the rate of the staff, either, 13,400 or a little over 16 for the salaries. So on the lower end for the total cost for the scenario, lower end about 23,284, and then higher end is more like 26,000. So this is just, these are the costs laid out for it. And as Donna said, it's probably, if this was something that was really important to us, we probably have to find it somewhere else in the budget. But I do think it's great to know what these numbers are, and that if this is something that we feel strongly about, that it's good to have this information. Any questions?
Was there a push for that on the survey?
Say again, Emma, I'm sorry.
Was there a push for this additional day or part-time opening on the results of the survey?
There was a lot on the survey about being open longer and different hours. Certainly there was a handful of Sundays, but there was just as many later Saturday afternoons, later in the evenings, earlier in the mornings. On the survey, people want us to be open more hours, but they kind of want us also to be open all hours. So yes, this would satisfy some and not satisfy others. But the cost would be roughly, close to the same. If you're thinking you're opening 4 hours another time, if you're taking Saturdays and opening an extra 4 hours or something, it would be kind of a similar estimate, I would guess. Though we'd save the janitorial, but still.
Yep. Are there any questions on this proposal?
No.
Then I guess we can move forward to the donations book drop, Kevin.
Sure. Just to summarize quickly on the budget, we don't have an official directive from the town yet, so we don't have to make any actions or anything now. In December, we may be more ready to do that. I can incorporate some of this in. I can, go with more of a continuation budget based off of your directives, but that's also not something that has to happen at this moment. So just to put it out there, if you don't want me to do anything, then we can kind of just have another discussion about it next month. There'll still be time before they're actually due, I think, to formally approve it.
Kevin, I just wanted to clarify, these Sunday hours, are they from, I think we talked before about it being from during the school year, like from September to June? Is that what this is based on?
This is based off year round.
Oh, year round, okay.
Yeah, so if
All
it
right.
were just to be school year, I mean, so, probably cut the cost by 25% or something like that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Now,
Mary Ann,
yes,
Madam Chairwoman, I'd say a few things about that. In a lot of the libraries that I end up in talks with, it is a September through June is the most common for those Sunday hours, for those libraries that don't normally have Sunday hours. Another thing that happens is that because they're opening those hours for school children with projects, they don't open up the kiddie floor. And as you know, our children's department basically goes up to 5th, 6th grade. So they don't do that. All those are things which you find around the state and they bring the costs down. So it's just throwing that out there for people to think about.
as a whole, do we have an interest in pursuing this additional open time? I'm just throwing this out because I've been put in that position of controlling the meeting, if you will. Wondering what everyone's thought is on it.
I think it's a good idea if it can be done, that we can afford it to open. And I would vote for Sunday through June because of money for 4 hours. But I wouldn't want to see the cost of Sunday impacting some of the other items that the library needs. And we all know that with the budget coming up, we need to make sure that we don't impact the mill rate.
Althea, since you asked the question, what's your thought on the extra hours?
At this point, I'm almost sorry I brought the question up, to tell you the truth. And I'd like to keep it as is right now and see what happens. And if we have to do any cutting later on, maybe that's something we can do, but I'd like to see it go forward as it is right now.
So like me out there, you agree that Sunday hours is great for our, more than for everybody, but for our youngsters.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's also good for those people who can't get in there during the, for working people, who can't make it during the work week and everything as well, too. So,
Yeah, that's what I said. It's good for everyone, but
yeah.
I first thought of it, it was some years ago, was because of youngsters asking
Yeah,
about
that
it.
was our initial concern. Yes.
And that's the other opening, being open 1 hour later on Saturday is something that the adults who are busy all week and are out scrambling to shop on Saturday, they say, oh, I can't make it back by 3 o'clock, but that extra hour would be wonderful for them.
Yes.
Colleen has her hand raised.
Yeah, I'm just gonna ditto, as one of those people that can barely get in on a Saturday. Extra hours would help a lot.
Yeah.
Anyone else on that? or on the donations book drop. Does everyone know what that is?
Yes.
Well, I know you do.
Me too.
Me three.
Oh, good. So are we interested in pursuing that?
I
So-
think that there are so many issues to be addressed. One was the fire marshal, how it would work. There are a lot of, it's just not, let's willy-nilly do it.
Exactly, but are we interested in pursuing it and getting that information, and then maybe moving the book drop, depending on the answers to those questions?
Emma, if I could, I reached out to the fire marshal, and Randy just said that, the few of the considerations, they need to make sure there was a firewall in that area, there had to be a fire door, and make sure there are smoke detectors properly installed in the space. So, it's an extra cost to it. He didn't provide that information. That's just what he would be looking for if it were something that he were going to approve. I also spoke with Pat about the PZC requirements, Pat Gallagher. And he said he didn't think it'd be something that would need any sort of PZC approval, but we would just have to put in a building permit with Randy and make sure that everything adhered to the building code. So those are just the first two hurdles, the building things. I spoke with Tim and Maureen from the Friends a little bit today as well. And they did also say that they're, happy to paint that box if it's causing that much distress. I also suggested perhaps getting a vinyl wrap for it. That's something that I was looking into for the lockers, and it, would cover it up, and, it could be colorful or however we want it to look. We could match the colors of the building, potentially a cheaper way out of this situation. But I'm also happy to keep looking into the book drop. I just not at a certain point, I have to talk to a contractor and figure out really what prices are. So
I don't think that's one of my top priorities. I think, maybe, painting it, making it a little bit more appealing would be fine for me.
Put it in context with all the other items that that the library needs and that the public would have great use of. Like we were talking about programming and the like. I'll echo what Dale had to say. We could all get out there and have a painting party on the bin.
Right, the teams could come up with some sort of nice display on it. Interesting.
A mural on it.
Maybe that could be a
Absolutely.
teen project.
I'm sure they'd love it. We may not love what they come up with, but I'm sure they'd have fun doing it.
You've got three sides that they could do. Anyway, any other thoughts on the book drop? Is there any other new business? Okay, then moving along, Strategic Plan Committee. Did you have a meeting today?
Yep, we met at 5 o'clock today before this meeting. And what we're starting to do is put together more concrete goals that we might like to be a part of the strategic plan. And we're also talking about doing some focus groups probably early next year, so we can get a little more feedback from the town. The surveys were great, but the more feedback we can get, the better.
And your
I'm
next
back.
meeting is, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to tell you I'm back. So as soon as you're done with your question, if you want, I'll take over. If not, it's yours.
You're on, Peter.
Okay, well, you want to ask your question of Kevin then?
No, I was just going to ask if the next meeting was a month from now.
Yep, it'll be at 5 o'clock before our next meeting on the
It
13th.
it matches. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, it's yours, Peter.
Okay, was that the strategic planning committee update?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, save space, that's me. Nothing to report. Technology, Donna, Kevin,
Nothing, I don't think that
Colleen,
wasn't in the
sorry.
doctor's report. We're working on the computers that are having some issues, and I think that's kind of where we are.
Right, Kevin had mentioned a donation from Yukon. We get, they have surplus equipment and we go in there every once in a while, or Novus went in there a couple weeks ago. And they have some 2-year-old, still in warranty desktop computers. So we're gonna grab probably a dozen of them for the library and replace
Oh,
those
great.
thin clients and a couple of the other workstations that need replacement.
Great,
So, and we're working on our regular computer replacement plan as well.
good, good. Diversity, Dale and Kevin.
Dale and I didn't have a chance to meet this month. We have the diversity programs coming up starting in January.
and then there's the holy, the one that St. Peter's is doing in addition with CODE, CODE. And that was just started November 1st, and that was very well attended. There were over 50 people signed up for that program, so
Boy, that's good.
hopefully our program will go as well.
I'm hopeful. I couldn't make the one on the 1st, but I'm going to try and attend some of those. They had a good schedule out there.
The next one is November 15th at 7 o'clock.
Is that live or virtual?
Virtual.
As
Great.
long as the schedule shows in the newsletter, that would be great too.
Yeah, the schedule will make it into the newsletter. There was already, I wrote a piece up about it that's in this month's, I believe.
Right, and it was good.
Yeah, and it'll keep getting in there. I'll repeat myself as much as I need to. But yeah, and feature each thing at each individual month.
Good. Community, Gail, Shirley.
Nothing new
Claire.
to report, Peter.
Okay, and lifelong learning, Althea, Claire, and
Okay,
Colleen.
okay. Let's see. There was a couple of programs have passed. One, they had a class online on how to make homemade extracts. That was last Tuesday. It sounded pretty good. Extracts such as making vanilla, that kind of thing. There was a Connecticut Witches in Connecticut program. And let's see what else. There was, and Kevin already mentioned that there has been a lot of use. It's not lifelong learning, but through the library, but the community is using our community room quite a bit. So that's
Great.
just, yeah. And I think Donna mentioned that there are weekly meetings for the holiday program that the library is a part of for the on Tuesdays at 2 o'clock. I got this information from Kevin because I wasn't able to get in touch with Claire. So hopefully I'll have more information for you at our next month's meeting. And that's it.
Good, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, anything else to come before the good of the group? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Do I hear
I
a
will
second?
second that.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor, Kevin, read the list, please.
Gail,
Aye.
Althea,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Colleen,
Aye.
Dale.
Aye.
Um,
Donna.
MAI.
MA, my list keeps jumping around. MA, I, and Peter.
Aye. And with that, thank you all very much. Look
And
forward
happy
to.
Thanksgiving and to
Yeah.
everybody.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Happy Thanksgiving. Good
And happy
call.
Veterans Day.
Yeah.
Yes. Great. Thanks, everybody. Stay safe.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
too.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.